Good afternoon. Welcome back to the Jessica Ruth Knits podcast. I am your host, Jessica, as always, and this is my podcast about knitting and life in general. So this is episode 19, and today is May 28th, 2017, and I am coming from you temporarily from Santa Cruz, California. So if you are new, welcome. I thank you for checking out my podcast. I know there are a ton of podcasts out there, so thank you for coming by and visiting mine. And if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate it. So as I said, this is a podcast about knitting, and I have been doing a ton of knitting. So for those of you who are new or who don't really know the whole backstory, right now, my husband and I live in Arkansas. I grew up in Santa Cruz, and I'm out here for the summer, excuse me, to do IVF, which is in vitro fertilization. So the whole process takes a couple months. So I transferred my job. I work at Starbucks. I transferred out here, and I'm going to the clinic semi-locally. So that is why I'm in California, but I live in Arkansas, but I'm from here. So yeah. So I have nothing to do but go to work and go to the doctor and knit. I'm staying at my parents' house, but they are on a cruise right now, so there is nobody around. They have a pet tortoise, but he doesn't really do anything except eat and walk slowly around the yard. He's huge. He's probably like 100 pounds. It's a big sulcata tortoise. So it's not like they even have a dog for me to play with. Yeah, and they're coming back this week, so I'm greatly looking forward to having them back home in their house, just so I have my parents to talk to, because I'm all alone in this big house and I've just been knitting. So I work usually in the mornings, and the Starbucks here opens so early. So we open at 4:30 on weekdays and 5 on weekends. And so us baristas have to be there half hour before we open, which means you have to be there at 4 or 4:30 on the weekends. So like yesterday I worked at 4:30, and then by the time I was off, I was exhausted. So I came home, took a nap, and then I still had the entire afternoon to do nothing. So I've been going on lots of walks, and I went down to the beach the other day and kind of just sat and knit in my car and rolled down the windows and listened to the waves crash, and just people watched as they were walking by along the cliffs. So I'm just trying to explain why I've been doing so much knitting, because I have nothing to do but knit. So back home in Arkansas, we have farm animals. We live in a tiny house that we're in the middle of kind of building and putting together. So there's always something to do. So while I do have a lot of knitting time back home, it has like quadrupled here. So without further ado, let me show you what I have been knitting. So the quickest project is my cozy memory blanket, because I only added one square. So I really just wanted to get it squared off, and that's what I did. And then I've been obsessed with my other projects. So all I did was add this guy. And I showed this to you last week, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. But this is my cozy memory blanket. It's one of two. It is done in mainly neutral colors. So it's, I'll try to squish it. I mean, and there are some fun ones like this pink here. But it's mainly neutrals. I don't know if you guys can see it all. It's getting pretty big. This, the stitch here is the center. So then that's the top half of it. Oh, sorry. And then that's the whole bottom half. Like that. So it is now long enough that when I am knitting on it, it goes down like the whole length of my body and can cover my toes. So yeah, it's getting there. But it did not get a ton of love other than that one square, because I'm super excited about my other projects. So last week I had just cast on, and I maybe had like half an inch done for my Perkins Cove pullover. Now, usually my podcasts, I will have I'll have titles that come across the screen here, but because I'm recording on my iPad and I cannot figure out how to edit on it, I usually, at home, I use iMovie on my computer, and it's super easy, but the iMovie on my iPad, for some reason, won't upload a video longer than 15 minutes. So I have to upload the video direct from YouTube, which means I can't do any editing. So, forgive me for not having the titles and all of the information come across the screen here, but I don't know how to do it on my iPad. So, and I tried to do it on my parents' computer, but they don't have iMovie, so I couldn't even do that. But this is my Perkins Cove pullover, and it is done out of this linen and cotton. Do I have a ball band? No. It's out of this stuff. I want to say it's juniper. Oh yeah. It's on the table over there. It's Juniper Moon Zoe. It's Zooey. Zoe? I think Zoe would just have one O. I don't know. But it's a linen and cotton blend, and I'm doing it in this blue, which I absolutely love. I think it's going to be perfect for the summer. It's so beachy. I have like cream colored linen pants I can wear it with. Yeah. So the pattern is written for fingering weight, but this is DK. So, and I'm a very loose knitter anyways. So I just thought what I would do is just like loosely follow the pattern and try it on as I go. And, yeah, just kind of make up the stitch counts because I'm such a loose knitter. So normally I have to go down in needle size, but then I'm doing it in DK weight. So I can't go down too far because it would be too tight of a fabric. So anyways, I cast on for a size like 3 sizes smaller than what I need because I am doing it in a bigger yarn. And I knit and I knit and I knit, and I tried it on. I had to spread it out over like 3 different needles because I didn't have a long enough cord. And linen, guys, is so slippery. So I tried it on, and the neck, it's supposed to be like a boat neck, I guess, or just like, it's supposed to come to like here. It's a really big opening. I don't have a picture to show you, but you guys can look it up. But my problem was it was like almost to my shoulders, like one good tug and I felt like the whole sweater could come off. So then I was debating, I came up with two things that I could do. I could either pick up all the stitches and kind of knit a tighter collar, or I could knit, okay, pretend it's like that, right? I could knit a strap that would go over my bra, so that way it would look like it's supposed to be an off-the-shoulder sweater, and it would have like a matching blue strap that would go over there. I opted not to do that. I opted to pick up the stitches and kind of decrease. I think I did 2 rounds of decreasing to make it so it's not a tight crew neck at all, but it just brings it in a little bit. So I can't really try it on until I'm done separating for the sleeves, which I should be ready in like 2 more rows. And then I'll try it on and make sure I like that neck. The good thing about picking up the stitches is if it doesn't work, I can just unravel the collar and I'm back to start, like square one. So then if I don't like the collar, I can always just do the straps going across. So let me show you what I'm talking about. It is all scrunched up on my needles, so it's going to be hard to show. And let me just tie my needles. I didn't bring any of my needle stoppers out to Arkansas because I don't really ever use them, but I wish I had with this linen because it is so slippery. So this is my pullover. So you can see where this garter stitch here, none of that is in the pattern. So it's supposed to just start here and then it kind of rolls, which I also didn't like. So I thought the garter stitch would make it not roll. So it's gonna be like that, which I think will be big enough for my head. My head definitely fits through. I think it'll be open enough. And it's hard to tell on the needles, but I'm almost to the, where I separate for the sleeves. So yeah, it's about 8.5, 9 inches, which is really hard to tell. And there's this elongated stitch pattern here, which is in the pattern. So I'm following that for the pattern. The pattern also has it be like 3/4 length sleeves, which I'm not going to do. I'm just going to make it short sleeve. Typically my body temperature, I'm always so hot. And I feel like since it's a linen yarn, you know, it's not a winter sweater by any means. So I think I would use a short sleeve sweater so much more than a 3/4 length summer sweater. So Perkins Cove, I'm gonna separate for the sleeves probably today. So next time you see it, it'll be further from the sleeves. I'm debating, this pattern has no shaping whatsoever. All it has you do is go up a needle size and then you go up one more needle size. So that way it's kind of like an A-frame shape without changing the stitch count. Now, because this is already such a loose sweater, I really don't want to go up 2 more needle sizes for the bottom. So I think I will, if I need to, I'll add stitches. Otherwise, for my bust area, I'll just work in some short rows. I don't think it'll be that obvious or that hard to work in short rows in this pattern because it is such a random pattern. I can sneak in short rows in this stockinette stitch here. So on the back, it'll be, on the back side, wherever I do the short rows, it'll be fewer, like this one and these guys will be closer together, like that almost. But then on the front, you'll have the short rows for the bust. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. Once I separate for the sleeves, I'll join it and then I'll try it on and see if I need to add any stitches for the bust. But I think I won't need to. I think I'll just need to do the short rows for extra length. And then after that, it is smooth sailing. So I purchased 5 skeins of this yarn. This is what I have left of the first one. So there's no way I'm gonna need all 5 skeins. So I'm going to just continue. It'll probably take 3 is what I'm guessing, because this will get me past the sleeves. And since I'm not doing long sleeves, I'm just gonna bind off instead of even doing short sleeves, because I think that'll just leave it like right here. So I should have a ton of extra yarn, which I'm excited about. I might, the local yarn shop here, I'll talk more about them in a second, but they sell the same yarn. So I might buy like a cream and do maybe like a tank top or something in blue and cream. I think that would be really pretty. But yeah, I don't know what else to say about this. I think it's gonna be so fun. I'm super excited about it. I really can't wait to separate for the sleeves. And yeah, so that's been getting a ton of love. This is the one I took down to the beach the other day, and I just sat in the car and knit on my beachy sweater and listened to the waves, and it was delightful. So again, that's the Perkins Cove pullover, and it is housed in this bag, and I think this is the one that doesn't have a maker's tag. Oh no, it does. This one is made by Ganache. It's got a cute little tag in there. This is an awesome bag. It was gifted to me. It has 2 pockets on the inside. The inside is like this leafy floral. The outside is this tree, or these trees. And this random chevron on the bottom, which I kind of like. And then I had a leafy stitch marker that I added to the zipper. So I love this bag. It is super big, but I think it'll hold my pullover very nicely. So that is that one. What else? Okay, I'll save that one for the end. Last episode, I had told you I was going to cast on for my fade socks because I'd finished this one. So again, this is my shorty socks from my Find Your Fade colors. And oh my goodness, guys, I have been wearing my fade like every day. It's been in the 60s here, so it's just chilly enough that you want something around your neck, but it is not chilly enough to like want a full-on jacket. So yesterday I went on a walk around the neighborhood and I wore a tank top and my Find Your Fade. So it was sunny and like 65, but it was chilly. So that was like the perfect combination between the tank top and the fade. But anyways, my Find Your Fade socks. So I cast on for the second one. All I have done is the toe. Not very much progress. I was planning on knitting this my day at the doctor, but I ended up not. So this week, I think it was after I talked to you guys. I had a doctor's appointment in the morning and also in the afternoon. So the doctor is like 45 minutes away, and we call it like over the hill. It's this mountain that you have to go over. So it's not like I can go to the doctor and then come home and then go back in the afternoon. If I'm going to go, and if I have 2 separate appointments, I'm going to stay over there until my second appointment. So I was planning on, oh yeah, and this is in my Freckled Whimsy bag, this is one of the first project bags I ever purchased years ago, and I love it. But yeah, so my plan was to knit on my socks all day, and they would be like my infertility socks, because I knit the whole first one pretty much at my first doctor's appointment. But then I decided, instead of killing time at Starbucks, which is what I normally do, I would go to the local yarn shop over the hill. And so the last time I'd been over, I'd bought some yarn from them. So this time I wanted to be working on a project with yarn from them, just to be respectful to the yarn shop. So I'm sure they would have been okay with me working on this, because they're not the kind of yarn shop that is like stingy about that. But I used to work at a yarn shop, and so I know how we felt when people would bring in projects that weren't with yarn that we had. So I wanted to be respectful of that. So I think last episode I had just cast this one on too. Or maybe I just showed you the yarn. I'm not sure. This is Madeline Tosh. I think it's Tosh Merino Light. Oh, it's like so blown up there. It's in the Gentle Monster color. Now, when I bought the Skein, it seemed like it was cream with like little specks of color. It is knitting up way more brown than I thought, which is okay. But, so I cast on for the Flax Light. So that's the back of it. I'm making it a cardigan. So I have, it's so hard to show you guys. This one here has little buttonholes like that. And I just did a 5-stitch garter button band. But yeah, so it'll be like that. It'll have the buttonholes all the way down. I am doing the garter stitch on the sleeves. This is a free pattern by Tin Can Knits. They did the flax, and then this is the Flax Light, and it is made to be out of fingering weight yarn. So I'm adding in stripes. Can you guys see it here? In neutral colors. So these are the ones I'm using. So they're like that. I want it to be gender neutral in case I put it in our hope chest for our future child, or in case I have a couple of friends that are pregnant, in case I decide to give it to them. So this is the one I use for the first stripe, and then I'll do the green, and then I'll do this like blue color here. These are not the original colors I had picked out. Originally I had like 6 different grays with a really pretty pop of green. But as I'm knitting this sweater, it was turning out way too brown to use those grays. They would just look funny. Kind of. Yeah, so now you can see that stripe. So I just finished the second stripe. So there's going to be 2 stripes in each of the 3 colors. And then in between I'm just striping it with the main color. And then we'll go back and take these stitches off the holder and just knit down for the sleeves. So this was the project I wanted to work on at the yarn shop because I had purchased the yarn from them the previous week. So I don't think I'm going to really work on this until I go back to the yarn shop because I really don't want to have to buy yarn every time I go. So I feel like if I'm still working on a project with their yarn, it's okay. So we'll see. And I was totally gung-ho about this project, and I was knitting, and then I started my the project I'm going to show you guys next, and that has completely taken over everything. So I think this is just kind of going to be my doctor's visit sweater, and I'm not really in a hurry for it because it's not for anybody in particular. The thought was to do it for our future child since I am doing IVF, but I'm not necessarily attached to it, so I could give it away to a friend. But if I continue to just keep this in my bag, then I can work on it when I'm at that yarn shop and not feel guilty for not purchasing more yarn from them until I need more yarn. And again, this one is housed in my bag from Amy of the Little Tailoress podcast. She sent it to me in a swap. I've showed it before, but it has pockets. It has this cute fabric band. It's got a little twine thingy here for your stitch markers. And it's big, so it could hold quite a few skeins if I wanted it to. Like, look at how big it is compared to my head. So I love these big project bags. There's a time and place for the smaller ones, which I love too. Like this one is smaller, and this one is so portable. And I love that it has a wrist strap, so I can just carry it with me if I'm just popping in somewhere and there might be a line. But these big ones are so fun too. So it just says the Little Tailoress yarn on it. So, and this has gotten so many compliments. I had it at the yarn shop when I was knitting, and everybody loved it. So thank you, Amy. I really appreciate it. All right, so my final project is in my Bags by Awesome Granny, which again, I love. I bought this a while ago, and I absolutely had to have it. This was my first really big project bag, and up until now, it has held my cozy memory blanket, but now the blanket is so big that I don't really take it out to knit. Like, I just more knit on it here at home. So it doesn't need to live in a project bag per se, because I'm not taking it out and about. So I, hang on. My drink of choice is Starbucks because I get free coffee. It's just iced coffee. I don't like any sweetener in it, so it is just iced coffee and a little bit of half and half. Which is a pretty good drink. So, okay, my next project. Our town, Santa Cruz, has a couple different yarn shops, and they have a new one that opened maybe 2 years ago now, called Yarn Shop Santa Cruz, and it is right downtown. So Santa Cruz is one of those towns. Santa Cruz, first off, is a really cool town. But it has like a really awesome downtown. So during the day, there's a ton of shops. There's a bunch of bookshops. There's a bunch of coffee shops. And then at night, it kind of turns into, there's a bunch of bars and restaurants. So no matter what time of the day, you can go downtown and just hang out. So there's this yarn shop downtown. All the other ones you have to drive to, which is fine. But I love the fact that the Yarn Shop Santa Cruz is right downtown. So when you're kind of mingling around downtown, you can pop in. So I popped in to see what they had, because I'd only been there like once, maybe last year. And they had a flyer that was advertising one of their knit-alongs that they were doing. So they are knitting the Bendy Arrow, which is a shawl by Charlotte Bory. And it's been on my queue for a while to knit. I just haven't got around to it yet. It is kind of the same shape as the Fade, but I think not nearly as big. So the only problem was that this knit-along ends at the end of May. And I just discovered the knit-along last week. So I would only have 2 times to go to the knit-along. And everybody else started like 3 weeks ahead of me. So I was hemming and hawing. Do I want to join? Do I not? They don't have a knit night like where you can just go and knit on whatever, which is kind of a bummer. They do like once a week. So I think it's like the first Friday of the month. You can go and just have a knit night. So I really wanted to join the Cal because I wanted to meet people, you know, who are in my town. And I thought, you know what, it's been in my queue, so what the heck. I'll go and I'll just cast on, and I don't need to be at the same place as everybody. It's not like, so the pattern is pretty easy, but it does have short rows. So I don't need help with the short rows. So it's not like I need to go to the cowl for help. I more just wanted to go for the social aspect of it. So I thought last week I would go and I would, see what the group was all about and start the cowl. And if I didn't want to go back this week, I didn't have to. So, oh my goodness, guys, I had so much fun. I absolutely loved it. I wish it wasn't ending this week. So I purchased yarn. There was 2 different combinations I was debating about. So it's a 2-color shawl. They had this really pretty, like, magenta-y color. So I thought I could do that with a cream. Or I fell in love with this blue and gray color that I decided on the blue and gray. So this yarn is Twisted Owl, which I had never heard of before, but oh my goodness, I love it. So where did I put the ball pins? I don't know, I had them out here. Okay, anyways, I will not show you the ball bands because I don't know where they are. But it's Twisted Owl Studio, I think. And I have the colorways written in my Ravelry page, in case you're wondering what the colors are. But I thought those were so fun. And I feel like these are such Santa Cruz-y colors because you have the blue for the ocean and you have the gray for the fog. So Santa Cruz is so foggy. Usually in the mornings, it normally burns off by like noon and then it becomes gorgeous. But in the mornings, you definitely need like a sweatshirt or a shawl because it is chilly in the mornings. So I loved that these were beachy. And since this is like my Santa Cruz shawl, I just thought that was perfect. So I cast on and I have been obsessed with this shawl. So I'm also adding in this mini, which I believe is candy skein. I knit some socks out of this for my sister and her husband for Christmas. So this is what I have left. So I just thought I would throw it in this shawl because it goes, it's like a little pop of something different with those 2. So this shawl starts out with the gray. And look at that. I love the tonal. It's got the center spine. Now, the pattern for the center spine, basically it's a yarn over, a knit one, and a yarn over. But you're doing the knit one, yarn over, and then you go right into a knit front and back, which normally I have no problems with yarn over, knit one, yarn over. Like, there's no problem seeing the center holes, the yarn overs. But because you go right into a knit front and back, it kind of eats up that yarn over. So a tip that they all told me because they'd all started it already was to do the yarn over knit one, and then you do a double yarn over, and then you go into the knit front and back. And then obviously you treat it just as a normal yarn over on the way back, but that way the holes are so pronounced. So you can see in the beginning, see how there's a hole and then the yarn over there is kind of eaten up. So you don't really see it. So that was when I didn't do the double yarn over, and then I started doing it, and so then you have these perfect matching holes. So if you guys are gonna do the bendy arrow, just keep that in mind in case you're having an issue with that second yarn over getting eaten up. Do a double yarn over and then just drop one of the loops on the next round, and it works out perfectly. So, okay. So you start out with the gray, then you go into these stripies, and I just added, you do 20 rows or 20 repeats of the stripes. So every 5th row I added in the dark gray. And I think I really like it. And then there's this block of blue. And now I'm about to start the short rows. So it's like that so far. And I love it. It is so much fun. Because it's garter stitch, it is so squishy. There's an I-cord edging, so it looks so pretty. I carried my yarn up the side because I-cord edging is really easy to hide yarn in. So like you can see here where I stopped carrying it, and then I'll just trim those after I block it. But see, you can't even see that I'm carrying the yarn up this I-cord. So I absolutely hate weaving in ends. So I thought I would just carry the yarn in between the stripes, and that way I wouldn't have a million ends to weave in. So this is my maybe it goes this way, the short side. My bendy arrow, and I love it. So now the short rows will be in this gray, and then it kind of curves and goes off the other way. So I'm super excited. I really want to catch up with the group, and they were, on Wednesday, they were all pretty much just beginning the short rows. So now I'm to the point where they all were on Wednesday. So I think if I can do the short rows, then I'll be caught up with them for this week, and we can all be kind of in the same spot. Yeah, so the group was so much fun. I absolutely loved them, and they're talking about maybe doing a knit along in July or in June. So depending on what they do, I might join in and knit along with them. I wish it was just like a knit night and everybody could work on whatever it is they're working on. But I understand wanting to do a cowl, you know, so people purchase the yarn and supplies from the yarn shop. So they also sold these really cute little Santa Cruz pins. So I got this one. This is a sea otter and the little baby. And then I also bought 2 for giveaways. So I bought another one just like the one I have. And then the other one I got is this hot pink mermaid. It still says Santa Cruz. So these I'm going to throw in some giveaways. And yeah, I just thought they were so fun. I really wanted to put the mermaid one on my bag because it matches my hair. But then I thought the sea otter was cute because it's like mom and baby. And since I'm out here to do IVF, I thought that was more applicable for me. Oh yeah, okay. Acquisitions. So obviously I purchased the yarn for the bendy arrow, but I also had to buy needles. So I had this set of oh, they're not zings, what are carbons? That's what they are. I have, this is the interchangeable set, and I also had some double points for socks. Now you might remember, if you've seen previous episodes, I was knitting on my socks, and the tip of the double point, this tip just fell off. So I had to wait until I had another needle to finish my socks. Well, this time I had took down the right needles to the yarn shop because I'm like, I don't need to buy needles. You know, I have an interchangeable set. I have 2 different interchangeable sets. I have the Chowgoos and I have the Carbons. So I took the Carbon one down and I sit down, I bought my yarn, you know, I had it all caked up, and I sit down to cast on, and it came untwisted right here. And it's not, so this is the join where the interchange, like, I can't do it with my fingers, but this is where it twists together. This is not supposed to come apart right here, but this is what fell off. So basically the same thing, except on my sock needles, it was the tip that fell off. This time it was this wood post that came out of the bottom of it. So there's no way to fix that other than to like hot glue it, but then you'll probably still have a gap in between the wood and the metal. And so I was so bummed because that's twice now that 2 different sets, one in interchangeable and one was double points, have broke on me. And not broke like broke in half, but I've had the metal parts come disattached from the wood part. So I used to love these needles and now I'm not. I mean, I love how they knit, but I cannot recommend them because I've had 2 different sets knit or break. So it's not like I just had one bad set, you know, and whatever. Like everybody has a bad set of something. This has been 2 different sets, 2 different types. So guys, just beware. Maybe I could contact them, you know, and just say this is what happened. But at this point, I just threw away the needle and I bought some new needles. So all they had at the yarn shop, they had the Chow-Gu, the wooden needles, and they had Addi Turbos for the metal needles. I do not like Addi Turbos because I don't like how blunt they are. So if I'm going to use a metal needle, I love the tip. I mean, I love how sharp that guy is, if you can see him. And I absolutely love the Chow-Gu metal needles. So they had tips for the interchangeable Chow-Gu metals, but they didn't have any of the cables. And of course, I'd left all my cables at home. So I just purchased, this is just the Chow-Gu wooden ones. They're still pretty pointy, and they're fixed. So this is size 5 is what I'm using, or 3.75 millimeters. Typically I don't really knit with wooden ones because I like how fast metal ones are, but this was all they had. I felt that wooden with the point was better than metal with blunt. And I mean, obviously it's working fine because my shawl is flying along. But yeah, I just wanted to share my disappointment with the carbons and my love for the Chow-Gus. So if you guys have any suggestions on what to do about the carbons, I just threw away that needle that broke. I was like, I'm not even going to deal with it. So I think what I'm going to do when I go back on Wednesday for the knit along is buy a couple more of the Chow-Gu tips, and I'll just take my whole Chow-Gu set down there, so that way I do have the cables. But it would be nice to have extra tips because my tips are always in use because I have so many different projects going. Yeah, so I found a new to me yarn shop, and then the yarn shop by the doctor. And it's really hard. I really want to just finish this. I don't think there's any way I could get it finished by Wednesday. But I also don't want to finish it because I want to be able to work on it on Wednesday with the group and not be the one that like sped ahead and finished it and then have to work on something different. But Bendy Arrow, it is super easy, super fun. Granted, I haven't started the short rows yet. So if you're looking for a project, so far I recommend this one. And I'll let you guys know how it goes after the short rows. But short rows aren't that scary to me. So I think it'll be fine. But yeah, is that all I have that's all my works in progress. I don't have any finished objects because, yeah, I started all of these big projects. So let me see, what else did I write down that I wanted to show you guys? Okay, no finished objects, works in progress, acquisitions. Yeah. Upcoming. So I am going to get together with Lily from the Ladybug Laboratory podcast. Hi, Lily. She is about 2 hours away from Santa Cruz, I think. And so we are going to meet somewhere and have some knitting time. Yeah, so it'll be fun to meet a podcaster in real life. And I'm excited about that. I'm excited to finish or to get past the sleeves on my sweater so I can actually try it on. I always think up until you separate for the sleeves, it doesn't really feel like a real garment. Then after you separate for the sleeves, it's like, oh, I can make a sweater. So that's going to be my goal, at least to get an inch or two past the sleeves. I'm going to work some more on my Bendy Arrow. I'm probably going to save the baby sweater for next time I'm at the doctor. Yeah, so that is all of my knitting related stuff. Thank you for sticking around to watch all of that. I'll talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing IVF wise, and then that's all. It's going to be a shorter episode this week. So IVF, where we stand. My last doctor's appointment, we had to take a ton of blood for like work tests. My veins, you cannot see them. They are so like, you can't see them. So it is always hard when anybody tries to take blood And I'm like, oh, I'm so hard. And they're like, ha ha ha, I can, and then they can't do it. So they tried this elbow. You can't really see, but there's a big bruise. Oh, you can kind of see it right there. Then they tried my hand, and there's a big bruise right there. So then a second nurse came in and tried in this elbow, and there's not really a bruise there. She got the vein, but it was just too slow of a vein. And I guess if it's dripping too slow, by the time the file's done, it's not contaminated, but it's like started to separate or something. So she said it wouldn't work if it was going that slow. So they ended up having to go in on this hand. So that was the fourth try, second nurse. It does not really feel very good when you have to take blood on your hand, but it was better than being poked and prodded multiple times more. So I've been getting all the results back. Of course, everything so far has been fine, which it always is. I don't usually have any trouble with blood work, but they just have to do it just to check it off. So then that was the appointment in the morning. The appointment in the afternoon was with the financial counselor. So I don't know if I shared last time about my husband's insurance. I think I did. But so Starbucks will cover one round of IVF up to $15,000. And one round is more than $15,000. So, but that was the whole reason I got the job at Starbucks in the first place, was because their insurance, it's like one of the first places everybody recommends if your main insurance doesn't cover IVF. Everybody's like, Starbucks covers it. And you only have to work part-time at Starbucks to get the insurance. So I was thinking, we'd have to pay like $5,000, which is way better than paying like $20,000 if we didn't have insurance. But my husband's insurance changed just a couple months ago, and now they cover IVF as well. So we're gonna use my Starbucks insurance first because it has the lifetime cap at $15,000, and then after that, my husband's insurance will pick it up. So the financial appointment was so good because the lady's like, well, whatever your first insurance doesn't cover, pretty much your second insurance will cover. So we have like $1,000 deductible, and then after that, my husband's insurance kicks in. So I was so pleased just to hear, that we won't have to pay thousands and thousands. If you were guaranteed IVF to work the first round, $5,000, okay, it's not unreasonable. But a lot of times IVF doesn't work the first round. So then, you're looking at a second round, and then Starbucks wouldn't cover anything for the second round. So I was so nervous that what if it doesn't work the first round? Before I knew my husband's insurance helped. Like, what if it doesn't work the first round and then we have to pay like $20,000 the next round, and there's no way we can do that. So just to have that peace of mind that my husband's insurance it covers like 80% of it, I think. If the first round doesn't work, it is such a stress relief just to know, okay, we can have multiple chances without having to, I was going to say mortgage the house, but we don't even have a house to mortgage. We have a tiny house and we don't do mortgages. So, yeah, so huge stress relief. So that was the second appointment, was just going over all my benefits. Yeah, so I'm excited to get started. So now the rest of the tests that we have to do have to be when I'm on my period. So we just have to wait till I get my period, which should be in another like 2 weeks because I just had one. And this is probably TMI, but I warned you guys I was going to talk about infertility. So, listener beware. But, my period, so, okay, I have PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is like the #1 leader of infertility in women. But, what it means is I don't ovulate, so my periods do not come like a normal person's periods. So they can go like 11 months with no period, which is awesome if you're not trying to get pregnant, because you don't have to have a period for a long time. But if you're trying to get pregnant, it is like awful. So what I'm trying to say is if my period does not come by day like 36, then I have to go on medications to induce my period. Yeah, so I'm kind of just at a holding point until my period comes now, because we have to do more testing once my period comes. Then we start a month of birth control. And I'm hoping it can be the same month that we do the testing on my period. And I'm hoping I don't have to wait a whole nother month before I can start birth control. Because while I love California, I really miss my husband, and I really miss my farm and my tiny house and my life back in Arkansas. So, yeah, so it goes testing, then a month of birth control, and then we start the hardcore drugs and the shots and all the not fun stuff. And then hopefully it's over. So yeah, so I'm just waiting for my period, then we'll do more testing. Hopefully that same month we'll start the birth control, and we'll get this party going. Yeah, so that's all my infertility news. I've been walking a lot. I'm down 8 pounds since I came out to California. So I'm officially past the 30 pounds lost mark, which is super exciting. Yeah, so I've been walking a lot because I've been rather bored, and one can only sit and knit on the couch for so much without feeling like a sloth. And the weather, like I said, it's been like 65, 70. A couple days we've been in the 90s, so it has been warm a couple days. So on those days I went to the gym. But yeah, it's like perfect walking weather because it is not humid like it is in Arkansas, so you're not drenched in sweat as soon as you go outside. So I've been walking. I've been trying to watch my carbs and my sugar, which is so hard when I work at Starbucks. But they have a couple options, which this one, no carbs, no sugar. Well, I don't know if there's a little bit of carbs in half and half, but this is fine for me. And I've been eating, Starbucks has this reduced fat turkey bacon sandwich, which is okay on its own, but they also have this avocado spread. So I put the avocado spread on the sandwich, and it's perfectly fine. And yeah, so that's what I've been eating at work. So I've been trying to watch what I eat. I've been walking a lot. And yeah. So I think that's all my news. I don't want to ramble too much about nothing. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for staying and listening to all the infertility stuff. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but it's the whole reason I'm out here, and it's the whole reason I have so much knitting time, and so I thought it was worth explaining. And I feel like infertility is such like a taboo topic. Nobody wants to talk about it. Everybody just kind of jokes, you know, like, oh, why haven't you had kids? You know, like, oh, you know, we're, you know, whatever. But it's not really a joke, and it affects a ton more women than people think. So I just wanted to share my story. Yeah, just so you guys, everybody's aware of what's going on, and this is real life, and that's what we're going through. So, yeah, so thank you. I appreciate it. I hope you guys all have a great day. Thank you for watching. Yeah, all right. I will see you guys next time. Happy knitting. Take care.